Hey, you like cars? We are back to the normal setup, the normal look. Not doing an interview this week. We are back to a standard podcast as a normal scheduled program continues along. So we're back for another week. You know what we have to do. Episode 97. 97. I want you to understand we are getting so close to this 100 milestone. I am beyond proud of myself. And the fact that I kept it going. Like, there are times when I'm like, should I do an episode? I'm working on this. I'm doing this. The kids, life, work. And then when I start recording, I automatically start feeling good. Like, I get excited. I start smiling. I'm like, yo, this is what I love to do. So this has been a glorious time. And I take much pride in being able to go this long and continue to try to work on my craft and get better at it and speak to the news and then work on it when it comes to the YouTube channel and conveying my excitement for the GR Corolla builds and car reviews I'm doing and then reading them and listening to them again. Like, I listen to my podcast after I put it up. Like, I'll play it in the car. I'll play it to myself. I'll listen back. I'll tweak certain things, try to make it more personable. I like hearing myself. I'm not one of those people that don't like the sound of their voice. I can listen to what I do and I enjoy it, and I can also critique myself and say, okay, change that up. Don't say this so much, or change up what you're saying here. Make the transition better. So those are all things that I'm working on and all the things that I like to improve upon as I go. But man, 3 episodes away. I don't necessarily have everything in line because that's just real life as far as like what I'm going to do. Because I wanted to change up the whole look and everything. But, listen, we got things to work through. But I'm going to do something. And I'm just excited. 97. So what are we here to talk about? But before we begin all that, how are y'all doing? How are you feeling? The family, the friends, the loved ones, the children. Goals, as I say every week. How are y'all feeling? Hope everything's being accomplished. Whatever obstacles are in the way, you're getting over them. They're not slowing you down. They're not stopping you. We're driving right ahead. We're driving right through them. So let me just start off with BMW. And normally when I'm talking about BMW, I'm usually critiquing some design that I just can't understand and don't know what they're doing. But not this time. Not this time. Actually, this time around, BMW showed off a design that once again shows a couple things. I honestly feel like we're being trolled when it comes to some of the current BMW design, especially when it comes to very aggressive front ends and things of that nature, because last year they have this event. I'm going to butcher the name of. I know it. It's called the Concorsa di Eleganza via it's in Lake Como. Okay, listen, it was probably around the same time the Monaco race was kind of starting up, but around Lake Como, and it has this event that they do, and they kind of showcase some of their designs. And last year they showed off essentially a reimagining of the clown shoe. Okay, the original M Coupe, Z3 Coupe. They did it in the Z4 chassis. It looked amazing. I'll show you a picture if you're watching a video. Again, as I say every podcast, if you're watching this in audio form, there's a video format and it's a YouTube channel, and you should go and subscribe to it, and you should like it because it helps me out and it helps me continue this journey. And why not? It's the simplest thing you can do, right? Consider it like dapping me up if you see it in the streets, okay? If you want to subscribe, think of it like giving CarQuicks a dap. You see me in the streets, say what's up to me, I give you a dap, embrace, and we move along. So anyways, they showed off something called the BMW Concept Speedtop. This looks fire. Okay, absolutely unapologetically, absolutely fire. Okay, and you see it here in this picture. This is basically like an 8 Series version of that Z4 Coupe that they showed, basically built on the chassis of an M8. Now, here's what's crazy. BMW actually going to build this. Now, they're only building 70 of them. And so before we get ourselves all excited, like we're actually going to see this at your local dealership, it's not coming to America. Now, I don't understand why we are building stuff that looks as good. I can understand this little shooting brake concept not being something that the masses would buy. I'm more talking about the overall design, the front end, the kidney grills, whoever this group of people are that are designing these cars for this concourse event. please, for the love, send them down to the design studio and let them get a hold of whatever drawing board they're currently working on. Because whatever they're doing, if it's not taking in these designs that they have been showing in these concepts, I don't know what we're doing. So to give a couple details, they didn't talk specifics, but they did say in this quote, in this line, the most powerful V8 engine currently offered by BMW will be in this vehicle. Now, if I'm taking the current offerings of BMW, I'm thinking M5, I'm thinking the V8, twin turbo, hybrid setup. I'm thinking we're looking at over 700 horsepower. And this is kind of like a Grand Touring coupe. Now, there's a caveat. This is still an 8 Series interior. When you look at the front portion where the driver and the passenger sit, it is an 8 Series. I mean, they're not gonna do so much. Most of it's on the outside. However, because it's like a shooting brake, the rear gets these cool little like hatch, not even hatch, it's like little bucket compartments that are holding pieces of luggage, kind of bespoke luggage that BMW's making for this car. And it's the least that they can do, because considering the cost that they're about to ask for this, they said these 70 examples are going to start around $500,000. $500,000. That is squarely in Rolls-Royce territory. Now, a couple things are very cool though. So if you look at this picture I'm showing you here, showing the trunk area has this cool like LED strip light that kind of circles the circumference of the trunk area, almost like a showcase of whatever you have in the trunk. Funny enough, when I saw this, I said, like, whatever you have in the trunk is almost on like display, which is where I could see them having that luggage where it's like, hey, if you pop the trunk, you get this cool little display and it's showing our bespoke, handcrafted leather luggage, as opposed to you and whatever random stuff you grabbed at Ross. Not that somebody who spends $500,000 on a bespoke BMW is checking out what the luggage department in Marshalls looks like, but you never know. But overall, from the rear with the compartments with the luggage, from the outside design, it does have the latest infotainment system from iDrive, so you're not like you're lacking in the technology. From the outside look of it, it just looks dope. I mean, I'm a sucker for a wagon, a hatchback, a clown shoe, whatever you want to call it. If it looks like that, sign me up. This kind of reminds me of, I did a podcast, it was, I don't know what episode, but I was speaking about Brabus, however you say it. They made, it was called like the SL Rocket GTS. It was essentially an AMG SL that was formed into the same type of shooting brake design. I too was a fan of it. I think that one was something ridiculous as well as far as price tag. Probably like $1 million because it was so bespoke and carbon fiber and things of that nature. So BMW's making 70 examples. I'm sure even with the outrageous price tag, these are all accounted for, because whoever was at that event probably already knew that it was coming. I think you have to be a really, really big BMW fan. I mean, it's true collector, but maybe just even a collector of just high-end cars and just something that you just don't see every day. Because if somebody has this car, they're not going to worry about parking next to another BMW that looks like this. They're probably going to say, listen, whenever I pull up, this is the only thing that looks like this in a 3-state radius, okay? You're not going to run into me. So it looks cool. I love it. Not even just looks cool, it looks dope. I love how it looks. I'm just hoping that whatever BMW is doing with these concepts, that they are just working their way to bring it to the masses. Like, please, why doesn't the 6 Series look like this? Why doesn't the 7 Series have this type of elegance, this type of stance that shows us powerful, it has speed? Like, why? Why is it only $500,000 concepts? Why can't I get this in a standard BMW? I'm not even saying the 3 Series. I'm just saying, like, why couldn't it be in the M5? Like, what's going on? We can do this. But BMW wasn't done. This week, they also were teasing the 2026 M2 CS, which is right up here. And the CS, as you know, is basically the lightweight version above the competition. It's like the ultimate spec of a BMW from the factory. They didn't get into specifics because actually I'm early. The real release of this car and all the information that's pertaining to it is actually going to come out on May 28th. So by the time this podcast goes out a day later, or if it's not on the same day, it will have already been revealed as far as what all the information is about it, what they're doing. And if I wanted to speculate, if the standard M2 2025 M2 has 473 horsepower, I would imagine we're above 500 or we're at 500, which isn't a huge bump, but you're paying for you're paying for also the engineering that goes into a CS. You're paying for the interior. They didn't show that, but I'm sure there's Alcantara all over the place. There's CS badging somewhere in the interior. I'm sure there's new bucket seats or some carbon back bucket seats that you're gonna love to see. And it gets new mesh wheels, and more distinctly on the outside, there are a couple tweaks with like front lips and air dam situations in the front. But distinctly, the rear duckbill spoiler, which has been synonymous with the CS or CS models, the CSL models like the E46 one, they're bringing back the duckbill on the back. Looks just, it's kind of square. It's not as, let's be frank here. The one on the E46 M3 CS trunk was like the best looking one they ever did. This one is a little bit more squared off because obviously the M2 is a square in many sections, but it doesn't look bad in person, which is the normal running rule when it comes to BMW designs now, is that you can't judge it by whatever you see on the internet. You can't judge it by a picture. You got to see it in person. And the M2 is a lot bigger and more muscular than you can imagine when you see it in person. So the CS is coming. I don't have details on price. It'll be a lot. I mean, guaranteed this will probably be $80,000 to $90,000, if not more, considering what this is. How many are they going to build? Don't know how limited it is, if it is or not. Sometimes some of these new bespoke vehicles coming out, they're not even limiting them the way that you normally would, because they kind of see that people just wanting to buy and buy. So if the money's there and the business is happy and people are clamoring to buy something, hey, keep the ordering books open. So BMW is, I mean, listen, those two announcements alone shows that they're designing stuff that doesn't look bad. The CS model M2 and the M2 in general isn't a bad looking vehicle. It is square, but when I say that, I'm not saying it in a way that I'm thinking it's not a good looking vehicle. The BMW Concept Speedtop though is excellent. So BMW's working on that. And like I said, come Wednesday, we're going to know all the information about it and what it's going to be, how much it's going to cost. But something else was going on with another manufacturer from overseas, and that is Lotus. So if you know about the Emira, which is an excellent sports car, V6 manual, has little linkage that's shown outside in the center console. You get in the V6 one, you get in the 4-cylinder one. It's a very excellent vehicle. Plenty of reviews have talked about the Emira and said how good it is, how much of a driver's car it is. It's lightweight. It goes back to the ethos of Lotus and what they're known for, but they got a problem. And the problem they have is that the current V6 in the Emira, the one that they sourced from Toyota, will not pass emissions regulations or the Euro 7 regulations that take effect in 2026. Okay, there's a couple things I wanted to say. One, I'm like, it's 2025 in May. Did y'all just find out that it wasn't going to pass right now? Or did we already know and we just got the ball rolling on the Emira, get the sales out, get it to the U.S. markets, get it to all the markets worldwide, and then worry about this later? So now they have this issue going on because whatever they have in there now, it's not going to pass Euro 7. Toyota's not about to change anything on that source V6 that they have in order to match whatever Euro 7 is, because they probably put that engine and everything else around the globe, and they're going to say, hey, if Lotus, if it ain't going to work for you, then, hey, I don't know what to tell you. And plus, most of Toyota's lineup, which we'll talk about later in this episode, has moved to hybrid. So whatever this source engine is probably whatever left inventory there is, or for whatever markets it matches and it passes for. So where it gets really interesting is that Lotus said they're considering a V8. Now, in a world where we have been bombarded with, let's take whatever beloved V8 there is and try to turn it into a 4-cylinder hybrid with the same horsepower figure on paper, but not the same feeling and experience on the driver's seat. And when there's electric variants of cars to try to emulate whatever there was when it comes to V8 motors, it is kind of crazy to hear a manufacturer right now saying we're trying to put a V8 in a mid-engine sports car with a manual transmission. And the reason why I'm saying it's a manual is because the reason why the Emira is so beloved is the fact that it's one of the very few sports cars in that category, in that level, where you can get a manual transmission on their biggest engine. In the U.S. market, as the CEO and one of the gentlemen I was reading the article was talking about, was saying that the U.S. market is extremely important for the Emira, for its success. And one of the things they noticed, which surprise, the smaller 4-cylinder option isn't that popular in the U.S. And we're like, what'd you think? Of course it's not. We like large engines and horsepower. Not that we don't care for 4 cylinders. I drive a 3-cylinder turbo in mine, but that's usually reserved for compact cars, JDM stuff. I mean, you start getting into its upper reaches of near $100,000 cars, things start kind of shifting and moving around a bit. So they're trying to find a V8 option. Now, I was kind of speculating in my brain what V8 they could possibly use. Some people talked about a Mercedes twin turbo V8. I was like, I don't think you want to put a twin turbo anything in this car because that complicates a lot of things. Right now, it's using a simple V6 motor. They do their modification and things to it, but it doesn't need the plumbing and the heat exchangers and the intercoolers and all the things you need to do to source and hold in a twin turbo V8 that is generating a lot of heat. To me, that's adding more weight and complication to a car that is loved because it's simple, direct, engaging, and is focused on the driver. And I don't even know what manual transmission they can have for that Mercedes because it's always been on an automatic. And to take the Emira, let me tell you one thing that Lotus does not want to do. If you take the Emira and all the love it's gotten and then stuff a bigger engine into it and we're like, oh, cool, bigger V8. And then you come back at the end of the presentation and say, and it's only available in a 9-speed automatic or dual clutch, it's dead in the water. Everybody, all of a sudden, the price tag for the original Emira shooting through the roof because everybody's going to say, listen, that was the last time Lotus actually had some sense. And right now they've lost their way. So I don't really know what they're going to put in there. Like, I know you could do small engines and not like Porsche doesn't have Caymans that sell really well, but I almost think that they should try to source another V6 or something. I mean, honestly, I don't think they have the time. I'm not saying they don't have the means because they're owned by the Geely company who has money to develop their own V6. Not that Lotus hasn't done it before. I don't think they can call somebody like Cosworth and say, do you got some Euro 7 regulation compliant V6 in the tuck somewhere with 400 plus horsepower? I'm sure they can make one for you, but I'm sure that also costs a ton of money and probably ups the price on something they don't want to up the price on. Then if you think about a V8, I'm like, okay, what's small enough to go inside? I mean, honestly, I was like, you might want to call GM, which sounds crazy. But of all the people that make V8s that are sitting on manual transmission vehicles, they are one of them that make these smaller, small block V8s and things of that nature. Maybe an LT4 or something like that can go in there. I don't know. It's cool to hear about that, but what would be terrible in the end would be if we did all this and it ruins the balance of the Emira. I haven't driven an Emira. I'm going strictly off of YouTube videos and articles I have read that have expressed what it's like to drive one of those. So I'm imagining if we get more weight, just more complicated setup, it just loses the allure of what the Lotus is. And then all of a sudden, you already lose sales. Regardless of whatever the Euro regulations are, you're going to lose them anyways because now nobody wants the car. I don't know what they're going to do. It's just interesting to hear them looking for a V8 and maybe where they land. Listen, they could do this right. I'm sure there's a V8 option or something that is very similar to the weight of the V6 they had, or maybe, possibly, I don't know, even lighter. But if they can nail it, if they somehow figure that out, and we get 6-speed manual, high revving V8 in the Emira, I mean, they might jump another level of legend. They might come even further. We'll see what happens though. Now speaking further about a company that doesn't know what to do, and that's Dodge. Stellantis Group. The Dodge brand they're going through it. They've been going through it. I've said it multiple times on the podcast. It's not like it's something new. But very recently, they made the full-on announcement saying that the RT version of the electric Dodge Charger is completely canceled after this model year. There's no more. I'm like, surprise, surprise. There has been countless videos of people talking about where they messed up, especially from people I follow like Black Car Guru. He's hilarious. He goes on, tirades like, listen, this is where y'all messed up. And literally everything he said is right. Like what he is speaking on and what many people have said about what Dodge did wrong. Now I have a different take. Now I'm agreeing. What I said they should have done if they were adamant on bringing an electric version of the Charger, I kept saying you need to do both at the same exact time. Where they messed up is that they didn't embrace the people that were buying supercharged V8 Hellcats on a chassis that had been around since 2011, basically buttering their bread, baking it, serving it to them, and doing everything in between with the most minimal effort as opposed to just putting a big engine in the car. They weren't asking for more handling. They weren't asking for less weight. They weren't asking for carbon fiber. They weren't asking for new transmissions. They weren't asking for more space and Alcantara. Like, if you think about what Dodge pulled off for all those years with the Chargers and the Challengers, for a beloved group of people and enthusiasts, myself included, without having to do much of anything, considering all these other companies. You got Lotus over here trying to put a V8 in the Emira. You got companies like BMW trying to come with all versions of different M3s and M2s to appease to the masses. Dodge was simply just upping the boost on the same motor and putting it in everything. Jeeps, Trackhawks, Durangos. I mean, come on. It was the easiest money machine. And then they were like, we're going to throw that out the window. We're going to say we're going fully electric. Forget about them V8s. This is a new brotherhood over here. And while I do like the technology, while I do like the idea of introducing something new, I understand that you can't leave behind the people that got you to where you are now to even have the means and the money and the R&D to even build out the idea of trying to make an electric version of a Charger. Like, I spent some time driving one. When I was at the Texas Auto Roundup, I had an experience of being able to be in one of the scat packs and driving it. And I actually came away impressed. I said, listen, the Fratzonic exhaust, gimmick or not, sounds a lot more real in person. Yes, obviously it's artificial, but it's artificial in the sense that they put something mechanical behind it like an instrument. And it sounds actually very impressive in person. But the critique or the issue that happened from all the people I heard driving the car was the price tag. They were like, listen, I'm surprised. I actually do like it. That's what they would say. And they said, but the problem is it's $75,000 starting. And that is where it starts getting shaky, where it's like, I don't know about that. And also, when you consider that electric cars in its current market, when electric cars come out, when they're, I don't even say 5,000 miles in, a year later, they depreciate like you threw a rock off the Empire State Building. It's terrible. So everybody knows this. So even with incentives, I'm not incentivized enough to say, let me fork over 75 grand and then take a $40,000 hit a year or two later when nobody wants this car. And so the RT has been sitting on lots to an outrageous degree. I'm talking, if you are really interested in just leasing one, trying it out, they have the most smoking deals on electric chargers I've ever seen in all of the car industry. I'm talking 35 grand off price tag, $200 to lease, 10,000 off, whatever, name your price. Like, it's a name your price. It's like cash for clunkers. They're coming in there. You go to your local Dodge dealership. If they got a bunch of them RT electric chargers sitting there, I bet you can stand out there and say, listen, all I got is 15 on me. And they might try to figure something out. That's how bad they want to move these. And because they haven't been moving, they said, we're just going to cancel it. They're going to keep the Scat Pack one, which is, I'll be honest, it's interesting. Yeah, the Scat Pack one is the most special of the versions. The Banshee one or whatever concept they showed, I don't even think they're probably going to bring that out because it's just, why are you going to do that when the price tag is already so high? $100,000 Banshee, and just is not the time for that. And so the inline twin turbo V6 one I've talked about can be extremely popular just by nature of what the aftermarket can do on a motor like that. And I stand by that. But also, we know that the rumors of the V8 coming back, and I don't even think the rumors now, pretty much know that we are guaranteed to get one. It's just a matter of when, not if. And I almost feel like, even though in person, the Charger is wider than the wide body of the previous generation, it doesn't have the character lines that those people love and like. So I almost feel like Dodge may have to kind of figure something out when it comes to that body. Maybe. I don't know. But it's a thought that hit me a couple days ago. I was like, you know what? I wonder if they could find a way to kind of almost flare out the current generation body and then introduce the V8 to it and, kind of figure out something. Make some marketing, say we're back. We listen. The people are right. Listen to the people. It's the brotherhood. You can do all this to gain back all the love, especially if you put the same V8 motor in there, the same amount of power, because I think they were getting caught up in seeing numbers, which plagues plenty of manufacturers. And when I say numbers is, when they had the electric one out, the first thing they're talking about is 0 to 60 faster than any Charger ever, 3.1 seconds, this quarter mile. And I'm like, I mean, 3.1, 3.5, 9-second quarter mile, 10, 11. Like, honestly, the people that are buying the Hellcats, the ones that are truly trying to drag race them are going to drag race them. Okay, you already know who those people are on Instagram. They have giant followings and they are every day there with their challengers drag racing. But a majority of the people that I know or anybody that you have really seen with the Hellcat is just in the street. It's a fun street car, 700 horsepower. I mean, what's not to love? So they didn't even have to get caught up in trying to make performance metrics. I feel like they should have gotten back to what made muscle cars, the feeling, the torque, all of that. They weren't trying to chase skid pad numbers. I mean, like, who was trying to do that in the Hellcat? I don't know. So Dodge is working their way to get back to the good graces of people that made them who they are when it came to that Charger and that Challenger. And at least we know that they're freeing up some money, because if they're not making an RT Charger, it means they got more money. It means that they can focus that on where they need to. What does that look like later? I don't know. I know that this could have been avoided. That's what I do know. I do know that this is self-inflicted. Like, they didn't have to come this way, but they did. And here we are. Now, some of the biggest news of this week isn't actually about the Charger. It's not about BMW. It's not about Lotus. Those are big news. The biggest news this week came from Toyota. And it wasn't about GRs, even though there is a GR MN version coming of the Corolla. And the GR Corolla is absolutely amazing. Okay, we'll get to that later. It was a RAV4. I know some people probably thinking like, oh my gosh, RAV4? Like, come on now. No, this is a big deal, okay? I told you, I'm a lover of all cars, even the compact SUVs that I don't have, but I don't like a RAV4. I mean, come on, it's RAV4. But 2026 is the new model year of the RAV4, completely redesigned. It's a big deal. They haven't redesigned a RAV4 in a number of years. This is Toyota. Toyota's making their way through the entire lineup. They have done the 4Runner, they've done the Tundra, they've done the Sequoia, Sienna, they've done the RAV4, they've done the Camry. They haven't done the Corolla. Corolla's still holding on to a very old design and an old chassis. So that also is kind of due for a refresh as well, too. Even though, as I said 2 weeks ago, they did introduce that new Corolla hatchback, the FX one. But the RAV4 is completely brand new. And to kind of start off, there's only 3 trim levels, and you're going to kind of hear a theme kind of going on. The 3 trim levels are Core, Rugged, and Sport. Now, Core sounds familiar because GR Corolla Core Edition. I can see they're kind of keeping that lineage and that name scheme around when it comes to the trim level, and I think it's smart because it reduces kind of the confusion. Instead of it being XSE, which I think they still have that, but when it comes to car models, sometimes people get confused about what version they want. There are still different trims, but basically Core, Rugged, and Sport. All of them are hybrid, every single one of them. Now, it can be a hybrid or it can be a plug-in hybrid, and they all start off with a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder from Toyota that makes 226 horsepower. And if you get a plug-in hybrid, it can get up to 320 horsepower, which we'll talk about a model with that later. And they can have front-wheel drive, and they can have all-wheel drive, and that is across every single trim. So the cool thing is, it's kind of like build your own thing. Now, I will say this though: if you're new to Toyota, one, I already know every dealership that's getting one of these is going to be madness to get this RAV4. And if you know anything about Toyota, it's not like you can really order the version you want. You can put a preference in saying, I want a Core with all-wheel drive. I don't know if you can get the plug-in hybrids. I think the plug-in hybrids are left to the more higher trims, Rugged and Sport. But let's say you want an all-wheel drive Core model, or you want a Rugged model with the front-wheel drive and the 2.4-liter, you're going to have to wait for a dealership to get it in. You can't even go in there and say, I want this color, this trim, this. They'll say, okay, cool, that's a nice preference. If that comes in, we'll tell you. And trust and believe. Trust. The markups are coming. They're coming. I'm just letting you know now. They're coming, okay? You're going to have to give this like 6 months after the initial release, because Toyota's going to make a gajillion of these. They're going to sell these hand over fist. RAV4s are flying off the shelf immediately. If you're a car salesman at Toyota, car sales woman, person, anyone, if you're there on the sales floor, I mean, it's a glorious time. You already got the 4Runner. You already got the Tundras and the Sequoias. Those a little bit more pricier. You got the new Tacoma. RAV4 is bread and butter, okay? This is like, if you ain't making sales with the new RAV4, Your sales pitch is horrific, terrible. I could sell these with my eyes closed. Just be like, you know what we're doing here, RAV4. So I said 226 horsepower on the standard 4-cylinder. If you get all-wheel drive, actually, you get 10 more horsepower. You get 236 on the standard hybrid drivetrain. If you get the plug-in hybrid, you can get range up to 50 miles on pure electric, which is very decent. 50 miles of range on pure plug-in hybrid is extremely decent. There are a lot of people that's all they need to get to work and back home and never touch the gas and never have to kind of change their lifestyle to deal with a pure electric setup. That's extremely good. It also has DC fast charging, which is now available. And the overall design, I want to talk about that right now. It is very reminiscent of what they did with the 4Runner. Boxy flares, boxy fenders, little trim on the outside, as you can see on the picture there. The headlights are like the, boomerang type design that they've been doing. It's clean. The Woodlands version that they have, or actually not the Woodlands version, but the standard Corolla one has like this painted grille. Very clean setup. It's a boxy, more sporty of a setup. It's not as kind of a sweeping design as it was in the previous years. It is matching much of Toyota's design when it comes to their SUVs and trucks. If you look at the Tacoma, the Tundra, the Sequoia, the 4Runner, and the RAV4 together, you will then see that lineage is crossing through all those channels, especially when you see the side profile, you see how the fenders look. They got bigger wheels. You get up to 20 inches on there now. The Woodlands version has these rigid fog lights in the front end, and it also has 18-inch wheels with bigger all-terrain tires on there, which is smart. I could see that being a popular option as well, especially the overland community. The overland community is about to take this RAV4, and they're about to go crazy because hybrid setup, you might be, I don't know if you can get the plug-in hybrid on that, but maybe if you can, you can't, whatever it may be though, they're going to tack on themselves to making that into something special. And so towing capacity is up, 3,500 pounds in all-wheel drive, 1,750 in front-wheel drive options, which is decent. That ain't bad. So the changes on the interior, those include a couple things, kind of important. The changes to the interior that are important is if you look at the driver now, the driver section has digital display. I think it's about, from the size of it, it looks like it's like a 12-inch display in front of the driver as well. When it comes to the infotainment, you can get the standard 10-inch infotainment screen, but there are higher options, get up to 12.9. The digital gauge cluster I was just talking about a second is actually 12.3 inches in size. And then you compare that with the 12.9-inch infotainment, and it's going to also have the new safety sense. Now, I didn't get any information on the safety sense. I think it's called Safety Sense 4.0. They're jumping the generation. They didn't speak about what it adds, but if you know Toyota and their safety sense, which is like their automatic lane departure, blind spot, automatic braking, all the safety features, each generation they add more things to it. I don't know if it includes more advanced radar cruise control or different features when it comes to the safety, but they're going to get to that more when it gets closer to the release of this vehicle later this year. But the interior does get more of a, I'll say rugged. It's very purposeful. Like the center console has 2 wireless charging ports. You get this little cool center console to kind of flip open and flip close and become like a lid or like a little parcel shelf for people. Passenger side can open it, driver side can open it. Cup holders, obviously generous storage, generous space in the back. The rear can split, obviously 60-40. The standard things that you have seen from the RAV4 are still there and present, especially when it comes out to cargo area and the space that it has. But the overall interior space is actually the same as the previous generation. They didn't make it much larger, which is actually good because everything grows into these monster trucks every single year. Things get bigger and bigger. And sometimes it isn't that it needed to be bigger. Sometimes the layout needed to be more ergonomic. It needed to be better laid out. So the front area, passenger side, it's like a partial shelf. It gets kind of more of a squared off looking design, but it's clean, it's purposeful, it's Toyota. Like if you look at this, you're not going to jump into it and be blown away. You're not going to be like, oh man, the LED lights in here, the strips, Alcantara. Don't expect that, okay? It's still a RAV4. Now, some of the videos I watched from like Redline Reviews, Car Confections, GT Garage Talk, they were talking about the interior of the car. Some people said that some of the plastics felt a little cheaper because it was a pre-production one. So some of that stuff still has to be decided when the car gets into the hands of people. Now, hopefully, as I move up in these streets of podcasting about the automotive industry and reviewing some cars, hopefully I've made and shook hands with the right people at that time to maybe get into the test review of the RAV4 because I would love to. Love to. Now, the model that I would almost certainly race to go and test out is a GR Sport model. You hear that right. Somehow, some way, amongst all these other designs that they have been doing, from the Woodlands version to the Core One to the rigid lights and the off-road trim and the Core One and the updated interior and the PHV plug-in hybrid and the new power, they made a GR Sport model. Now, to give you some explanation about the GR Sport in case you were just new to this whole entire idea, yes, I have a GR Corolla. There are GR Supras, GR 86s, GR Yaris. There will be a GR Celica and MR2. That's rumored is coming. But the GR Sport is clearly, it's not a full Gazoo Racing. It's like Gazoo Racing, you know, like a sprinkle of it. You know, the little sport model in there. Consider it like old school TRD, right? So, and some people don't really like this. I had heard some critiques saying people like, oh, they're watering down the GR brand, even though GR Sport and GR line has been available overseas since the GR Yaris and GR Corolla have been out, and the Supra and the 86. So it's nothing new. I embrace it. Listen, more fun cars are needed. And recently, Toyota CEO made an announcement saying that they can no longer, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said they can no longer just build cars just because it has a new motor and new features and it's a redesign. He said that the cars have to be fun. If the car is not fun, there's no reason to be making it. Listen, Toyota is turning into like the one company that actually has their finger on the pulse of what consumers actually want. It's wild. Now, back to the GR Sport one. So, you see this picture here. This looks like the front bumper from the 2025 GR Corolla got slapped onto the RAV4, modified a bit, made a little bit larger. There's no knocking this. I don't know how you can look at this and say that's not fun. And that's really what this is. When I saw this, I was like, oh, this is fun. So it matches what that CEO was saying when it came to Toyota making a fun car. You get this giant grille. You get fog lights, which is funny because the GR Corolla doesn't get any fog lights. I'm like, well, they figured it out here. So they get these like kind of LED strip fog lights. You get a roof spoiler in the back, black trim instead of the kind of the plastic rugged look or kind of the painted look on some of the other trims. And it has a 320 horsepower plug-in hybrid. Now, the plug-in hybrid horsepower is available across all the other trims. So if you get like a rugged version and you want the plug-in hybrid with 320 horsepower, you too can get that. That's why I said the Overland community might take this and run. But as far as a GR Sport one, you do get Gazoo Racing kind of implemented, got the little fingers in there on the suspension. It's a little bit of handling. It comes with summer tires. That's an interesting choice. Summer tires in Texas is fine. The other states, like East Coast, Midwest, I would think they would put like high performance all seasons on there. But the summer tires alone is an interesting choice to have, but I'm not mad at better grip handling. Now, of course, somebody's going to say, what corners are you trying to attack in the RAV4? I'm like, listen, a fun little SUV is a good time, especially a little bit of power. 320 is nothing to sneeze at. Plus, I get the 50-mile range and I look like this. The interior is also unique to the GR Sport. You get like this red trim around the seat. It looks like it has a synthetic kind of, I'll say suede or Alcantara, but it's probably like Syntec or some material that Toyota's been using inside of the center of their seats. It's not the GR Corolla seats or like the ones that are in the Circuit Edition or anything like that, but it's very close. Very close. It's kind of more of a blacked out interior, blacked out trim. You get like these kind of black and silver wheels that they have. It's gloss black trim everywhere. Roof is black. It just looks good, especially when you consider the fact that Toyota did not have to do this. They did not have to make a RAV4 that looked like a GR model that said GR Sport. It got GR Sport brakes. It got maybe they bite a little harder. Maybe there's the suspension upgrades. There's roof spoilers. There's fog lights. There's aggressive front bumpers. Listen, I'm telling you now, somebody's going to lower this. They're going to put the proper JDM wheels on there, and I'm going to love it. And I'd be that same person if I just had extra money to go buy a little SUV I need to beat around town in. If I don't want to bring the GR Corolla, for certain I get the RAV4 GR Sport. Throw a little suspension on there, 50 miles, plug-in hybrid. Like, sign me up. Now, I do want to drive this. I'm gonna figure out a way to drive this. Okay, listen, I'm telling you, I'm working my way into these car reviews. I'm about to, at some point in time, I'm gonna start just asking, like, hey, listen, please throw me a bone. Now, before I get out of here, GR Corolla updates. So I actually did a video on that channel, my YouTube channel, on the GR Corolla, very big milestone, 50,000 miles on the GR Corolla modified. And I did the video because I've been doing a video on my ownership since 2,000 miles, 9,000, 15,000, 30. And then I did one about at 40,000 miles about how much does it take to maintain a GR Corolla at 40,000 miles. And then I did the ownership update at 50,000 miles. So I'm actually proud of myself because I'm really committed to this journey, and I'm really here to help out people that do not have this car, who are thinking about the car, who are worried about clutches and brakes and paint and interior features and engine and can it last? Can I mod it? Can I do this? And I keep telling people, like, listen, these intervals are kind of getting less and less because I'm just kind of saying the same stuff after a while where I'm like, listen, it's solid. You take care of it, it takes care of you. I do have some parts coming. There are some parts coming from a company called Funk Motorsports, which is a funny name, but I like it. They have heat management mods that you can do. Stuff for like the turbo manifold and the turbo itself, like a turbo blanket they make specific for the GR Corolla. I saw this for a number of months now that I've been kind of following on Instagram, and I reached out to them to say, hey, wanted to know if you ever want to work with anybody to kind of highlight the work you do, because I live in a very hot climate and I'm always trying to find ways to manage the heat under the hood of this car, and just in general, because I haven't seen anybody really talk about this on the GR Corolla. So I got that coming. I also ordered like a gold heat sleeve that I'm going to put on the turbo inlet in the back of the intake. That was like an extra piece I got, but I figured while I'm there, kind of show that off and kind of showcase the company to the masses in the community. That's really what I'm here for. Like I always say, my YouTube channel, outside of doing car reviews and a podcast, the GR Corolla is kind of like my bed of my build and me showing the community like, hey, this is all the things that you can do on this chassis and what's available for you. So that's coming as well. More episodes of the podcast, as you know. There are more things happening. There's more events coming up. So it's going to be a good time. The channel is moving along. And as I say every single week, do as you wish and do as you may. It's Cameron Biggs, your host again for the CarQuicks Podcast. Thanks for joining. Go tell a friend, like and subscribe, follow it, tell people, review it. I need you to get the word out. I'm going to get the word out. Help me do the same thing as well. Go tell some people about it. I'm going to see y'all here next week. And enjoy yourselves. Peace.